I remember reading in a comment section once, as you do when you're scrolling social media, that the US hates kids. I read that and I thought, okay, that's a bit over the top. It was under a post on social media, probably Instagram, which is where I will find myself often, and it was talking about a post related to a statistic that a lot of us know about and most of us will probably find pretty shocking, of course. FYI, I'm originally from the US. I now live in Canada with my husband and my 2-year-old son. And hate is a really strong word, as in the US hates kids. But I want to share with you a recent trip that I took with my 2-year-old son and a few of the reasons why, after nearly 50 flights with him, we've traveled with him all over the world, to Scotland, to France, to Doha, to Indonesia, to Singapore. We've taken the kid everywhere. He's very lucky. And why, after all of these trips, it is flying in the United States that makes me feel the most stressed out and anxious of anywhere else that we have traveled together. And it's not because of the scary statistic that I just shared with you. Weapons are thankfully not allowed in airports, even in the United States. Phew. Recently I flew with my son from Boston, USA to Vancouver in Canada with a stopover in Minneapolis. I started filming a video for you guys the day before we left to sort of show you my packing procedure, to show you what I bring on the plane with a 2-year-old. I will have that video for you soon. This was around 1 p.m. the day before our flight. Our flight was at 2 a.m. the next morning. I was getting ready. I was feeling really anxious because I knew that I had to wake Dory up in the middle of the night to start this long travel day by myself. It was also going to be a 1-hour drive to the airport for us. Boston Logan, not my favorite airport, so a lot of things kind of stressing me out already. So I realized my first mistake right here. I had forgotten to do online check-in immediately 24 hours before my flight, which would have been 6 a.m. I just forgot. And so 1-ish p.m. rolled around, my son's nap time-ish, and I asked my husband, who was in Vancouver, to go online and check in for us, and this is what happened. So I'm a little bit irritated right now because apparently on our second flight they have me and Dory seated separately from each other. This is a cuckoo crazy thing that airlines are allowed to do in the United States, is they can seat you away from your 2-year-old. Legally they can do this. I am going to see what I can do. This is with Delta, and in their booking system there's no way of changing this right now. Manage my booking. That's what Phil told me, so I'm gonna check again. Okay, continuing to freak out over here because I just logged into my Delta account and I manage my booking, and this is what it looks like. These are the seats that we've been assigned. You can see them in red, 1 and 2. Me and my 2-year-old, and every other seat on the plane is booked. So like, even if I wanted to pay for a different seat or a seat change, I can't do that. So either unavailable seat or occupied seat. I am freaking out. I just can't imagine being on a 4-hour flight tomorrow with my 2-year-old in a separate seat from me. It's like making me panic a little bit. Yeah, anyway. So that's where we're at right now. A Canadian pilot that I follow on Instagram, Canadian pilot mom, just reminded me that although it is not illegal to separate parents from their kids in the United States, it is illegal in Canada to separate children under 5 years old from their parents for flights to and from and within Canada. So although Delta may not care about that, that's the card I'm gonna have in my back pocket tomorrow if they give me any trouble. After trying to get a hold of someone from Delta beforehand, calling and using their little online chat service, it didn't work out. It failed, so I gave up. Had a really stressful last evening at my brother's house, just worrying about it all night long, couldn't sleep. We woke up at 1:30 a.m. I had to wake Dory up, bring him in the car, and then we arrived at Boston Logan, which is a freaking nightmare for anyone unfamiliar with that airport. It's just not pleasant. Okay, so it's really early in the morning. We're gonna go see Dada. It's our $6 cart, $6 trolley. To go from there to here. Oh boy. We had just come from the Doha airport, which is the state-of-the-art beautiful airport with like free strollers and stuff. Boston Logan makes you pay $6 for a trolley. I somehow got him and all of our stuff up to the front of the check-in line. There was nobody there anywhere to help anybody, and people had started just lining up in random places, some like around those self check-in kiosks, some in front of where the agents are gonna work. Nobody knew what to do. They didn't open until 4, I think a little bit after 4 a.m. My flight was at 6 a.m. I don't say this lightly. They were like some of the meanest airport workers I've ever met. The woman seemed irritated that I wasn't using the self check-in line. I tried to tell her I have a problem with my seats. I'm separated from my baby. She barely said anything. She was just so unkind. And I'm just so stressed out at this point. Just desperate for someone from Delta to please help me. And she only made it worse. Yeah, Dory, we did it. High five! Made it through check-in and security. Check-in was a nightmare.
Dad, look at, hey, jingle bell, jingle bell.
All the way. In the airport family bathroom, changing our first pee of the day. That may or may not have leaked completely through his pants. So good thing I have an extra outfit. It's like 4:30 a.m. I didn't sleep at all last night because I was so stressed out about the whole seat thing. And then at check-in, the woman said that basically she can't do anything about it now. I have to wait until I get to Minneapolis and they'll do it there. They'll change the seat there. But I have a 1-hour layover, so like. She said word for word, the reason this happened is because you only purchased a basic economy ticket.
Mama?
So after Dory soaking his pants going through security, I hope he will forgive me for telling you guys this. We finally made it to our gate. He pooped immediately when we reached our gate. Ran to go change him, boarded, and we had a whole row to ourselves, so I was pretty excited about that. We had screens, which was awesome, full of kids shows. During this flight, Dory decided to poop 3 more times. Again, I hope he will forgive me someday for telling you this, but poop number 3. Poop number 3. No more poops. I'm all alone on this flight. My toddler will not stop pooping. And during one of those instances in the bathroom, so a screw just fell out of somewhere in this little tiny bathroom. There it is. I was standing there with Dory, just totally stumped, until I turned around and figured out it came from the bathroom lock. Fell off onto the floor. If I hadn't found it, we would have been locked in the bathroom. So that's another fun little thing that happened. Again, I'm going to talk about activities that I use to keep him entertained on the plane in another video. We've been on so many flights together, I feel like we kind of have this down to a science. We don't usually, we never have any problems with Dory on planes, even when we have to wake him up in the middle of the night, because we are super prepared. So check out that video next. So to end my seat saga story here, we got off the plane in Minneapolis. I had a 1-hour connection with our stuff with Dory. I ran to our gate. It actually wasn't too far away, thankfully. Went up to the Delta counter at our new gate from Minneapolis to Vancouver, explained my situation to this man. Surprise, surprise, he was also quite curt and rude, but you know what? He changed it. He changed it. So I said, thank you so much. And that was the end of my 24 hours of stressing out, thinking that I was gonna have to be separated from my son. And you may think this sounds silly, but I am in a Facebook group of people who travel with their babies and toddlers, and this happens in the US. It happens to parents, and the airline will put it on the parents to ask other passengers to move, which also isn't fair. Just put parents and babies next to each other. What are you thinking? Which brings me to this brief point I want to make about why traveling in the US with kids stresses me out so much more than anywhere else in the world. And one is that there are no passenger protection laws in the United States for parents. So airlines technically legally can do this to parents, which is just cuckoo bananas crazy. And I know that the Department of Transportation has put out a request. They have a dashboard online where they are requesting that airlines not do this, and some airlines have said, yes, we will try our darndest. They say we will do our best, but there's no law. Whereas in other countries, there's a law for this, or the airlines state explicitly, we will not split up parents and children. We will not charge extra. Even Ryanair, like, they say on their website that they will not charge extra to like parents sit next to their children. They will not split up. They will never split up parents and children, even Ryanair. But Delta, the best airline in the United States, cannot guarantee that parents will be able to sit next to their babies, and will even stress out moms for 24 hours thinking that they're going to be split up. And finally, the other really big thing that stresses me out traveling in the United States, flying in the United States, is that there are never any family lines in the security sections in TSA or when you're checking in. Almost everywhere else we've traveled in the world, there's either a family line, so you show up at the airport, you go to check in, there's a line for extra assistance and families when you check in, and at security there'll be a special line for families and people traveling with kids. So it's a lot smoother. You don't feel so stressed out. You're with other people with babies. Or if they don't have family lines, they'll see you coming. Like this happened in Jakarta a few weeks ago. They just saw us waiting in the long check-in line, and there's no family line, but they noticed that we had a toddler with us, so a man pulled us to the front of the line. And like, that's just basic human decency to know that babies and small toddlers have a hard time waiting in long lines, and it's to the benefit of everyone to let parents check in first or have their own special line. In the United States, I don't think we recognize this. We just kind of let parents suffer, or you have to pay extra. You have to pay for global entry or pre-check. Anyway, what should just be basic human decency, you have to pay extra for in the United States, and that makes me really sad. We have had some really good experiences, and I don't mean to scare anyone or freak anyone out. I share this because I just don't want you to feel lonely if something like this happens to you. It sucked, and it doesn't have to be this way, and I wish that other people who don't have kids or who aren't in that baby phase anymore in the US we're just a little bit more compassionate and understanding. If you see someone with a baby or toddler, maybe let them go ahead of you. Be patient, smile at them. They are most likely drenched in stress, sweat, and freaking out. Okay, I'm done. That's my little panic complainy story here. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Cheese!